Tell me a little bit about your leadership style. If I was going to talk to some of the people that work under you, how would they describe your leadership style, and where did it come from?
Well, I think they might describe it differently than I would. I mean, we all have the idea of who we're trying to be. I would hope that they would describe my style as allowing input. I firmly believe it's a team, and I think I'm the farthest thing from a dictator that you're going to get. Right? I try to draw a consensus. At the end of the day, the final decision rests with me. If something goes wrong, it's my fault. If something goes right, the team did it. And I think that's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
You have to give credit to the team because it is the team that carries you. And if something has gone wrong, then it's my responsibility to take that on my shoulders so that the team can enjoy that protection. Uh, that's the job of being the figurehead in my mind. We get it right more than we get it wrong. But if we get it wrong, we have to say, yeah, we messed that up.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the job of the sheriff to stand up there and say, yeah, that one's on us. It's on me in particular because it's my job to make sure that this organization is capable and competent of doing its job. I'm proud of this team, but I would define my style as being inclusive and trying to draw everybody's ideas into that final decision. Because I have a lot of people here that are smarter than me, so I need to lean on them to help me make the right decision. But at the end of the day, I'll make the decision, and then we'll live. If that's the wrong choice, that's my fault. So
Now, you started working on stuff when you were a lieutenant, and you're still working on certain things to this day. Can you talk about some of the successes you've had with the sheriff's office, and maybe there's some long term goals you'd like to uh, have done before you leave?
yeah. So one of the big things was Sheriff Wild, who was the sheriff before me. He let me serve on what at the time was called the Mental Health Board, which was a board of advocates that met to talk about the issues tied to mental illness in the community. And that evolved into organizations that are called the regional behavioral health boards, which includes both mental illness and substance use and how those two things relate together. And what I realized as I got in those meetings was, first of all, law enforcement had not been consistent at the table. It had been so important for us to be involved in those meetings, but yet we weren't paying attention as law enforcement. So I've tried on this side to make sure that we have law enforcement involved in those discussions so that the advocates see us differently and realize that we're about overall good outcomes for the community. And the fact that as a sheriff, you understand how many of the folks in your jail are truly just suffering with substance use and or mental illness or both, right? Yeah, the way that comes together. And so when we can do a better job providing services to folks that can stay stable, that's better for the community across the board. And if we can divert these people away from the justice system entirely and back to systems of care, how valuable that is to law enforcement in general. Because a lot of times we get mixed up in situations where somebody ends up injured or killed, that if we would have been on the front end of that, dealing with that differently and getting this person directed towards services, maybe that never happens. So all of those broader discussions are important for law enforcement to be involved in. And you're seeing that outcrop in a lot of different ways. Um, but I had the opportunity to participate in that. I had the opportunity to chair the Region 7 Behavioral Health Board. I just dropped that chairmanship in July after I think I was the chairman for 6 years. Um, but it was time to move on to some other things. And what that's kind of changed into is I got involved with the National Sheriff's Association as a sheriff, and I watched another sheriff present on a program called Ignite, which is inmate growth naturally and intentionally through education. And when I saw that program, I said, we need that in our jail. And I was able to bring it back and let our team look at it here. And we were the ninth county in the nation to launch that. And I'm so proud of our team because they just graduated their 18th, or is it 19th? 18th GED student this year out of our jail. So we're handing out GEDs like they're candy over here. But I want to tell you the hope of those inmates when you come in and sit down and visit with them, they're thankful that they've been given an opportunity. Some inmates are not going to take to that. And we all recognize the recidivist criminals that we're going to have in the organization. That's not who we're talking about here. We're talking about individuals that, given the opportunity to change, want to try, and we should let them. And the Ignite program has helped us bring that in to our jail in a big way in conjunction with the National Sheriff's Association. So thankful for that program. And if there is a solution to what ails the United States of America, it's going to be programs like that that draw us closer together, that help us stop this us and them kind of thought process that we've got going right now.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I'd ask people to remember is 90% of the people incarcerated in our jail today are going to be back in the community in 90 days. So they're your neighbors, they're your friends, they're your family. What can we do to set them on a better pathway and have them become responsible and productive citizens rather than just recycle them back through the justice system again? We're not going to save them all, but if we could even save 2%, 3%, what value is that long term? I think it's huge.